Happy Sunday, everybody. It is Olivia with Freedom at the Mat. Come on in, come on in. We are like 6 days before Freedom Fest in New Orleans, and I'm so excited. I'm so exuberant about what's going to be happening at Freedom Fest. So tonight we have a few people, just two, who are going to be a part of Freedom Fest New Orleans, and they're going to join me, and they're going to just get to know them a little bit more better. And then you'll also find out what's going to be happening at Freedom Fest as well. So for those who I see who are coming in, thank you so much. Wix Nola, we're going to see you there at Freedom Fest next week, which I'm super excited about. Renee Bloom, I hope we're going to see you too. At Peace, we're going to see you as well. Freedom Fest was a brainchild of mine, and I am super excited to bring this event to New Orleans. I have been working in wellness and events for a really long time, and now that I'm here in New Orleans, it's really important to me that we bring this event to fore. So hang out here for a second. We have Faith and we have Shauna joining us tonight. Hello, Simone. So excited everybody's going to join us tonight. So just kind of hang in here for a little bit. If you have any questions about what Freedom Fest is going to be, please let me know. Let us know in the comments as we wait for our ladies to come on in. And we'll go from there. But Freedom Fest is going to be a one-day experience, the first of its kind that we've had here in New Orleans. We're honestly around the thematic of Juneteenth, we are going to be honoring our personal freedoms. What I know for sure is that we as Black women, not to go too deep, but we as Black women, we often have not had the personal freedoms that we have wanted to have in our lives. So what I know for sure is that this is going to celebrate our freedoms, quite honestly, and in a very unashamed, very simple way. Babe, hey girl,
Hello.
you look so beautiful, so cute, so beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh, so Faith, I was just telling them a little bit about what we're going to be doing next week, and we're not going to give too much away, but I was sharing with them that, Freedom Fest NOLA is an inaugural event, which I'm so excited to have in New Orleans. And you know how I feel about you. I'm gonna try not to fangirl out, but for anybody who's in here, anybody who knows this woman, we know that I said it years ago that you are the godmother of Black yoga. And I took Black off this time. This is the godmother of yoga. Like, we don't have to just relegate you just to Black yoga. You are a woman who you've been doing the work in this space far longer than anyone else that I know. And definitely want to give you your flowers. And when I called you or texted you and said, Faith, can you do this? And you were like, sure, sure. I was like, yes. So we are so happy to have you at Freedom Fest New Orleans. I want you, I was going through your response. We asked you what freedom meant to you, and we're not going to talk too long, just about 5 or 6 minutes. And you had a couple of things to say. One, freedom to you is living without compromise and finding the courage to follow your heart and stand in your light.
Mm.
Tell us more about that. In particular, are you standing in your light right now? You're back down south. Are you standing in your light? I see a lot of the video content that you're
Yeah,
creating.
it's really interesting because it is definitely a shift. And I know you and I, we saw each other a couple months ago, and I was kind of like alluding to that. I'm like making a shift. And part of that shift is me not just standing in my light, but, as I'm in the bed right now. I'm in my childhood room. This is the original wallpaper when I was a teenage girl.
Listen, Faith, I want to say something because I saw how it was decked out. I was like, is this what she's doing now? And like, because you look like a kid, like a teenager in your bed, which you're letting me, you're channeling that girl. I was like, look at that furniture she brought from DC. Look at all that furniture.
No, no, no. So this is the wallpaper. This is actually one of my grandmother's beds. So this is not my original bed, but my original bed's old. But as I think about returning to Louisiana and standing in my light, part of it is it's not just me standing in my light. I feel like since moving there and having the opportunity to ground, I am standing in the light of all of my female ancestors.
Ooh.
I'm like in their light, and they are guiding me to share and teach and offer in a different way. I mean, I could talk about this for a really long time, but as you shared, I've been in this wellness space for an extremely long time. I mean, I became an official yoga teacher in 2003. I mean, like, my God, like that was so long ago. Like, that's when I did my first training.
Which means if that was the official, when did you start? You said official in 2003. When did you start?
Yeah, so prior to that, I've been practicing yoga, meditation, breathing practices, like all of that, before it was even popular. I just randomly did it at one point in time in New Orleans, when my older brother was dealing with HIV. But when I moved to DC, I continued to practice, right? But then the job that I had, they were like, well, you always seem to be able to pull yourself together at different like my boss actually noticed that. And he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I do yoga, I do meditation, blah, blah, blah. And we used to host national conferences because I used to work for the National Minority AIDS Council. So we used to host national conferences. And he was like, can you start sharing at our conferences ways for people to decompress and find a sense of resetting and relaxing and being able to like just breathe in those stressful moments, especially like the advocates and people that were on the ground, And so I started doing that. And then next thing I know, I'm in New York and I'm enrolling in a yoga teacher training program. And then my whole life shifted from there because I had quit my nonprofit job. I'd worked for EMI record company for a moment. I quit that. And I was like, I'm going to be a yoga teacher. And I don't even know what that is going to entail. But I'm showing up for this chick. And then, so now living in Louisiana, I'm showing up for this more expanded version of myself. And that more expanded version of myself is really honoring my grandmothers, my great grandmothers, like literally, they talk to me on my walks when I'm walking down the Mississippi River during the day. All of this didn't start until then.
Until you got back here.
I got back here. Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to say similarly, I moved from New York here. They don't talk to me like they talk to you and Shonda. I'm gonna put that out there. We're gonna talk to Shonda next. They don't talk to me like that. But there is this connection with my spirit. And maybe once I get connected with my spirit, then I'll be able to hear from them. But every morning, and to your point, it only happened in New Orleans. I'd wake up in the morning and God would tell me what to do. Every morning, it was as if my steps were being ordered and I was able to hear him. And I don't know if it was because I lived next to a bus stop in Harlem for 20 years. You know what I mean? And I used to hear and all the whatever you hear when you're in
Yeah.
big cities, but I'm able to hear my spirit and I'm a lot more spirit led here. So like you. All right, so that's that. One more question for you. You said that you also find freedom as living without compromise and finding the courage to follow your heart.
Yeah.
Can you share either one of those? Like, is there an area of your life in which now, at the age you're at, and the station and the accomplishments you have, you're living without compromise
Yeah.
at this point?
I think the biggest part is that I'm 53 years old, and I was laughing today. I was at church with my mom, and the pastor was doing his thing, and I was thinking to myself, it's like, oh my God, like I remember being a little girl in this church, so nervous, right,
Right.
to get up and like share my blessings, meaning, to testify, or, to ask for help. And it was always felt like I was under someone else's shadow. And it literally took me returning here, even though I've done all these things and I've accomplished, and people may view and see me in certain ways, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Faith has it together." No, not at all. But it literally took me cycling back to these spots and places to recognize the importance of me not compromising, saying no, not allowing myself to take the bull shit from people,
Right.
and to make choices that are authentically mine. And part of that even sometimes means, definitely right now, is like saying no to relationships that don't align with me in all forms, right? In all forms.
Thank you, Faith. Do you want to tell them what you're going to be doing for everybody who just
Yeah.
joined? Faith Hunter is one of our presenters at our very first Freedom Fest next Saturday, June 15th, here in New Orleans. And she is offering what, Faith Hunter? What are you offering?
Yeah, I am doing an ancestral breathwork practice. And I'm excited to do it in New Orleans, because I've done it in other places around the country, around the world. I actually started doing it in the middle of the pandemic.
Really? Okay. Do they
Yeah.
need to bring, do people need to bring anything special other than
Just,
yoga?
they're going to bring their yoga mat. So that's all they need to bring. And sometimes people will feel the need and the desire to journal. So definitely, if they want to bring their favorite journal, a piece of paper, but, just bring this open heart, just to allow yourselves to open up. And I find that doing it in New Orleans, I have a feeling it's going to be like, I'm getting chills right now. It's going to be pretty powerful.
All right, Faith. I mean, you, Shonda, who's up next, Marissa, Dr. Courtney, myself, and Cicely. I think it's just going to be a very powerful day. So I want to make sure that I thank you publicly again for saying yes.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you next Saturday,
I'll
sister.
see you next Saturday, and I'll be back in New Orleans next week, and I'll be or this week, actually, in a couple of days.
Okay.
So yeah,
All right.
so I'll be excited. I'll be ready to drop in real sweetly and provide some loving energy and some healing energy, and then just let my ancestors channel through me and serve.
Well, I look forward to that. And I'm just grateful to you and Shonda and for being the light workers that you are
Mm.
and for holding space for the ancestors to come through you. The last thing I want to also say is just how much I've always known that you were, as they say now, very colloquially, the truth. With my different opportunities to work with different wellness workers, with Essence or with other properties, there was always an authenticity about you
Oh,
and your name being Faith was always very. So now that I know more about your story,
yeah.
right? That you found this naturally as a way to kind of alleviate stress in a high pressured career or whatever work you were doing naturally, and you kind of went ahead and pursued it, and you weren't in it because it became popular all of a sudden. Wellness became popular all of a sudden, way before then. So may God continue to bless you and use you and undergird you as you offer your light to the world,
Oh,
Faith.
thank you so much, and thank you for always just being so supportive and loving, and yeah, doing what you do. The one thing I tell people that you do is you're like the master at uplifting the sisters. I just like, it just expands my heart. I'm like, yes, yes.
Thank you, sister. All right, I'll see you next
All
week.
right, take
Okay,
care. Bye.
bye. All right, people. So next we have our very own Shonda Domingo Brown in the house.
Hey,
Hey,
hey.
Shonda! Oh, it is such a blessing to see you again.
Yes,
I felt like I just saw you yesterday.
little bit.
Maybe, maybe. Shonda Domingo Brown, we are so appreciative of you being who you are, you making the transition and obeying your spirit and leaving, not leaving the work, but evolving the work to now do what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that because I think, I had one other colleague in the wellness industry do something similar. And I know from her how much courage that took. So what I want you to tell us is, can you tell us more about the journey? Do you mind sharing? Because now you're living in total freedom.
Yeah.
I saw
Yes.
your space. For anybody who's in New Orleans, she has a beautiful space on South Broad, North Broad, South Broad, South Broad,
Yeah. South
South
Broad.
Broad.
Yeah.
And she offered it to Freedom at the Mat. So, okay, there's that. But can you tell us a little bit of your journey to get from Domingo training, the
Mhm.
workouts, woo, woo, right,
Mhm.
to that beautiful space where you're holding space and you're channeling ancestors?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when you put it like that, I'm like, dang, that was an evolution.
It's
Yeah. So, my entire life, I always was like, I'm gonna be a dancer. I'm gonna be a choreographer. That is my life. Anything not in alignment with that, I don't want to talk about it. And so, when I went into that journey, I'm born and raised from New Orleans, found myself living in California, pursuing that dance choreography journey. And then fitness got meshed into that because then I realized being from New Orleans, eating red beans and rice twice a week wasn't going to help me book those jobs. So, so I had to start learning how to take care of myself. I was active in the city, but not on like the nutrition side
okay.
or the like, this is what you do to stay healthy. It was more like, you're a competitive cheerleader, you're a dancer, like this is just a part of your workouts, right? But in LA, I found myself leaning into fitness. And then I learned took Zumba and then learned how to teach hip hop cardio. So it was this really fun way that I was able to merge dance and fitness. And then that just became home for me. Like I felt alive when I did it. I loved how people felt when they took class from me. And I was like, well, shoot, I mean, here we go.
Right.
And I was still choreographing and performing on the side. So I was like, well, all right, best of both worlds. Here we go.
Right.
And I just kind of leaned into that for a while. My mom passed. And so I wound up moving back to New Orleans. So I'm an only child. So I had to come back home and figure out life.
Yeah.
When it came to helping my mom transition and doing all of that. And my family kept saying, like, you're home, we'll be healthy now. And I was like, oh, okay. And so that turned me into just straight personal training, getting certified to do that. And then that became my life. I was personal training and I was dance fitness. Like that was it. And then I would choreograph here and there for local artists. And then I got pregnant and I had and found out it was twins.
Well.
Said, Lord, I have a lot of things. I got a lot of things that I'm gonna need to sort through in my life. And so I started getting readings from a family friend, Minister Esprit here in New Orleans. She is
Okay.
mother, okay? She is amazing. I was blessed enough that she was a family friend already. I had known her my whole life. Our moms were friends, so I knew of her presence, and started getting readings just to connect to my parents, because I'm like, I have kids. My husband's parents are still living, and I was just dealing with a lot of emotions that my kids wouldn't physically know their grandparents, and it was really getting to me. And started, going doing readings, and Esprit started teaching me about chakras and meditation. And I was like, okay. And then I started just kind of connecting with my parents. I was just praying to my parents, talking to them in front of their picture. But then I started training clients and I would hear people talk to me. And I was like, what? Okay. And so I just like, well, let me just see if I'm tripping. So I started asking clients, like, do you know this person named this? And they're like, yeah. And I'd be clients I had trained for years, but it would be things that I wouldn't know. And I'd be like, well, they just want you to know this, this, and this. And they'd be like, how did you know that? And I called Esper and was like, things are happening. And so she took me under her wing and showed me how to really hone in. She was like, you can connect to ancestors. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, okay, cool. So I was like, I can help people even more so. And so I went deeper into learning yoga and learning somatic movement and learning how trauma is trapped in the body. Because I was meditating, I was healing, but I'm a mover by nature. And so I started just practicing on myself, especially during COVID, using dance, just freestyling in the kitchen and using my workouts to actually connect to my ancestors, to learn about things that we went through and how all of that is stored in our bodies, generations of trauma, and connecting to them and going through this beautiful way of dancing with them and moving with them and having them share things with me. And I was like, I gotta show everybody how to do this. Like what? And so during COVID, I took a chance. I was like, I'm not doing just regular fitness anymore. Helping you lose 20 pounds for your wedding is cute, but we can go deeper. And I know the way, and I know it works because I'm doing it on myself. And so I just rebranded it, and I was like, I'll figure the rest out along the way. And so, yeah, that's where I found myself evolving to now. I'm definitely in a better place now. It's been about 2.5 years since I've feel fully fused and integrated and evolved everything. And I always appreciate you. I say, Olivia was just out here like, I believe in you, girl. Like, next time, I'm not doing hip hop cardio no more, girl. I'm talking to ancestors, and this is what we over here doing. And he was like, okay, sure, let's do it.
Right? I was like, okay, we're changing it and it's fine and it's right. I mean, I was sharing a little bit earlier, I think it was with Faith. I have a friend and I won't spend a lot of time on other people, but she was very well known yoga teacher and she decided overnight and she had a lot of love there that she was no longer doing yoga because she felt it was like not of her spirit anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Overnight, changed the Instagram handle, stripped herself of all things that had the word yoga with it, and we all just had to fall in line. So either you follow that we all are humans having a spiritual experience,
Yeah,
right? Or spiritual beings having a human experience, rather. So if we get that, we allow each other's spirits as sisters
yeah,
to just, you
evolve
know,
to
evolve.
do it, to
Yeah,
figure it out. So
yeah.
I don't think I ever really like vocalized it, but I always appreciated you for like supporting me through that and being like, girl, I don't know what you're about to do. So I
But
really appreciate you for holding space for me and being like, that sounds amazing. How can I support you? Like, let's do it. So
you're
I
welcome.
always appreciated you for doing that. Yeah.
You are so welcome. And I mean, I will say this on Freedom at the Mat, anybody who wants more about Shonda, we did a video about a year or two ago, about a year ago, definitely a year ago.
Yeah.
It still remains one of our top most viewed organic views.
Mm,
I was really pleasantly, I won't say surprised, but because the topic, ancestral healing,
yeah.
is one that people don't really know what that even means. But that
Mhm.
video still remains one of the most beautiful ones that I've participated in, number one. And two, people really respond to it well.
Okay.
So, Shonda, I only have two more questions for you. One, when we asked you, are those the kids coming in?
Yeah, I had to get Pokemon cards back. But we
If they want to come in,
I
I'm here for that too.
got my Pokemon cards. I was like, yeah, don't worry.
So we asked you what freedom meant to you, and you said it was living, accepting yourself and accepting your truths and converting that into daily joy.
Yeah.
Can you break down any of that for us as it relates to your life? Was there something about yourself you had to accept or truth about
Oh,
yourself and how that becomes joy?
a large part of my healing has been self-acceptance.
Mm,
Accepting what some people might think like the quirky parts of me and the weird parts of me and I am a recovering perfectionist and people pleaser. So fully accepting that when I give myself the permission to not be that, when I give myself the permission to be a triangle, meets rhombozoid instead of a box,
Right.
that is okay, and that I can sit in that, and I had to, and I'm still like figuring out and enjoying how that feels. But there is a freedom in that because then I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it to feel good within. And when I do that, when I really, really lean into that, I don't just tell myself, oh, life is great and I'm so blessed. I actually feel it. Like I embody it. I feel it in my body, whether it's finding a parking spot and I'm like, because things come easy for me and I'm amazing. Whether it's something like that, or it's actually manifesting an opportunity that I've always envisioned for myself. I find that when I accept myself for who I am, that allows me to lean into trust. It allows me to lean into faith. And then I'm able to just kind of move about life in a very fluid way. And then the moment I,
Hey.
what's up, bud? The moment I don't do that, now they want to be stars. The moment I don't do that, the moment I get out of that, like I accept that this is my reality.
That's
It's like,
right. Hey,
what are you
boys.
doing? I'm like, no, I got kids. I got twins.
That's
It's real life.
that's right. That's
The
right.
more I, when I don't lean into that, when I push that away, when I lean into denial because I think it should look like this, when I lean into denial because I want it to look like this, the more I restrict myself and I put myself in this jail. I put myself in this cage. And then that is not, that's the like opposite of freedom. I'm trapping myself. And when I lean into acceptance, I know that I have the key. I know that me loving me and accepting me for my, like, for the things I'm still working on, for the spiritual wounds I know I still have, and then celebrating how far I've come. When I lean into that, I can literally feel, boys, thank you. I can literally feel in my body peace. And that allows me to lean into the joys. And joy doesn't need to look like I could still have $0 in my bank account, but I'd be happy. Like, oh my God, that's a blue jay on a tree. Like, I am so here for that.
The
You
joy.
find this and you feel it. You don't have to convince yourself that you have it. You don't have to trick yourself into it. You don't have to repeat 15 affirmations, even though that's how you get there. You don't have to repeat the 15 affirmations, but you really feel it in your body. And it's such a beautiful experience. And I feel like the more that I lean into accepting myself, the things I know I still got to work on, and the things that I'm looking forward to, the more I can sit into that. Even if it's something I don't like, I can accept that I don't like it. And the more that I can just let that be my truth, the more peace I have about life, and the more I will hold your Pokemon cards. Yep. And then the more peace I have with myself, and the more I let people be. The more I'm not out here judging the way other people moving, the more I'm like, that's them and they on their journey. Cause Lord, me and my journey, and I could just let people be where they at, and and now I'm more aware. When I start judging people like that, I'm side eyeing myself. There's something about me I'm side eyeing. And so it's helped me realize, yo, the more I lean into self acceptance, the less judgy I am of everybody else and what they doing, the less jealous I am of other people and what they have and their opportunity. Like it flips everything. And the moment I am not accepting myself, the moment I am wishing it was different, the moment I start leaning into regret is the moment I cage myself and I give up my freedom.
Okay, so, and we're done. If there were a mic to drop, I would drop it. You got a couple of people in here. You've got KBNGG Symphonic saying she loves you. She's saying a word. You got Bright and Salted Yoga saying peace is beyond money, freedom is beyond money, a whole word. By the way, Bright and Salted Yoga will be joining us next year.
Yeah.
Right, Bright and Salted Yoga? I hope she says yes.
Yeah.
We are so grateful for you and what you just offered. Like, again, I'm just grateful that the women who are going to be a part of Freedom Fest are real women who are really light workers. You're doing the work. And I wanted you, and I thank you for, because I didn't tell you in advance what I was going to talk to you about. I'm really grateful that you, thank you. But we know that Ariana Elizabeth has just opened her own studio, which is incredible, which is why she could not be with us this year. But what I know for sure, Shonda, is that the work that you had to do for you to evolve Domingo training, that let me know that you were a sister that is aligned with me. It's that same work that I had to do when I left Memphis for Missouri to
Mm.
Chicago to New York to leaving my ex-husband to going to Jersey to going back to New York to coming to New Orleans. There's a faith, there's a trust of yourself and a quest for your truth
Yeah,
and finding yourself and saying, I will not live any other way outside than my truth. I won't compromise that. So
absolutely.
I'm so grateful to you, grateful for you. And will you, just like Faith did, will you share with everybody what you are going to be doing next week, next Saturday at Freedom Fest?
Absolutely. So I will be teaching my healing movement class. And so the movement will be a combination of Pilates and yoga and fitness. And I'll be calling in people's ancestors and just getting any word from getting any word from he being watched. Giving his pretty boy, giving any word from spirit to share with people, and then going showing them what movements they can do to move that negative energy and stagnancy attached to any emotions or even any physical limitations out of their bodies. So we'll get a message, we'll connect the message to what needs to be healed, and then we'll move it out the body.
Beautiful. And again, just like I asked Faith, other than a yoga mat, is there anything else they should bring?
I always encourage people to bring a journal. You're more than welcome to bring any healing crystals if you have any, because at the end, I do leave space for people to lay and do leave 5 or 10 minutes to do a little crystal healing to move out anything else and to journal about any messages that came through for them and any messages that they heard themselves, and whether it was a color or a memory or a person, that they can really get all of that out even when they write it down afterwards.
Great. And then I understand that Healing Herbs is going to be selling there too. So what will we be able to get from you? Be able
So
to purchase some things?
I also have a vendor's table where I will be selling my healing herbs, so herbal baths, herbal teas. So I'll have my self-love bath. I'll have my detox bath, which is good for like sore muscles and removing negative energy. I'll have my respiratory tincture to help heal the heart chakra, but help anybody with respiratory issues. Mommy. And then I will also have my healing refresh spray. So if you don't like to smudge and smoke things out, you can spray it. I made it because of these little guys because they're allergic to sage.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so that's how I came up with it. But yeah.
Well, we thank you. Listen, what are your boys' names?
Michael and Christopher.
Hi, Michael and Christopher. I just want to say on behalf of everybody at Freedom at the Mat that we want to thank you both, Michael and Christopher. I hope you guys can hear us because you guys have given us 30 minutes of your mom's time. And I know that was an incredible amount of time for you to not be with your mom. So thank you so much for lending your mother to us. You have an amazing, amazing mother. Amazing mother. All right, sister, be
All right.
well. We're going to see you next week.
Yes, I'm so excited.
So am I.
No,
So excited. All right, sister. We'll see you soon.
okay,
Okay.
you got
Bye
it.
bye. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are grateful. If you've not gotten your tickets, head on over to freedomatthemat.com. Get your ticket. There's still a few available. We look forward to seeing you and celebrating our collective freedom as Black women next Saturday. See you soon. Ashe.